What's up, it's Cinema Shogun here, and let me start by saying this. I am taking a different approach to this Diddy story than the majority of people that you're going to see covering this story on YouTube. Now, if you want to watch someone fake outrage and pretend like they feel so bad for Diddy's victims, you can go watch one of these fake unauthentic performance artists on YouTube. There's plenty of them reacting to this story. But over here, I'm trying to look at the bigger picture. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not here to defend Diddy. I'm not here to tell you Diddy is innocent because I don't really believe that he is. I'm just here to question certain things. Because there are certain things in this case that need to be questioned. And the main question is, why now? Why, after all of these years, knowing about these Diddy parties, why are they trying to take him down now? Also, listen, I get everyone is caught up in their emotions. They're caught up in their feelings. Everyone is part of the angry mob right now. They got their pitchforks. They got their torches, and they're angry. They're all reacting, but a lot of people aren't really listening. A lot of people aren't really paying attention. Because if you start actually listening to some of these victims that are coming forward, a lot of this stuff just doesn't make sense. A lot of this stuff doesn't add up. And I get it. Some people are like, believe all victims. Well, a lot of the victims in this Diddy case aren't victims at all. They're accomplices. They helped Diddy do this. And instead of going down with this sinking ship, a lot of them are scared they may get charges as well. So now they're trying to shapeshift into victims. Now they're trying to form a different narrative that paints them out to be a victim instead of someone that was helping Diddy get away with this and helping Diddy do all of this stuff all along. And I think we got to be careful when dealing with those types of people. For example, someone has now come forward. They have talked to the feds, and they have provided the feds, they have provided law enforcement and investigators with videos, or at least one video, of a Diddy freak-off. But when you actually read the details, right? When you actually look into this story, there's something very off here. I'm going to go ahead and read this article. As I'm reading it, I want you all to let me know, do you notice anything that's off about this article? And then, of course, after the article, I'll tell you what I think. But let's go ahead and dive right in. Diddy sex worker turns over alleged Diddy freak-off tape. One of Sean Diddy Combs' alleged encounters with a sex worker was videotaped, and that tape is now in the hands of federal prosecutors. The male sex worker met with the feds Wednesday in New York City and signed a proffer agreement, which allows him to speak to federal investigators without the fear of prosecution. We're told the conversation revolved around Diddy, with the man explaining how he got in touch with an escort to engage in a freak-off involving himself, Diddy, and a woman. As reported, prosecutors have said the freak-offs are the center of their criminal case against Combs. Sources say the man also dished on what types of drugs Diddy allegedly liked to use during the sex sessions, as well as details about one specific encounter he claims was caught on tape. Sources say the threesome went down in May 2023, when the sex worker claims he flew from Atlanta to Miami to meet up with Diddy and the woman, and he ended up having intercourse with her while Diddy filmed the encounter. We're told the sex worker had a copy of the video from the alleged encounter and turned it over to the agents who met with him. What's interesting about the sex worker's account is it lines up with what Diddy's attorney told us about the freak-offs. The whistleblower stepped forward and described to investigators how he traveled from Atlanta to Miami for the sex film and how he went about finding another escort to engage in the debauchery. The worker alleges that he and the female engaged in intercourse while Diddy orchestrated the encounter from behind a camera. So, I'm reading this, and they're painting it out like this guy is some sort of victim. Oh my God, what did Diddy do to this guy? But the reality is, it sounds like a consenting adult to me. Diddy hits up this escort, right, that agrees to come do a film with Diddy, a sex film with Diddy. The escort proceeds to fly from Atlanta to Miami to meet with Diddy. And then the escort himself goes and finds a female escort to have sex with on video in front of Diddy. Yet somehow, we're supposed to feel bad? We're supposed to call this guy a victim? I don't get it. It's like, if anything, you were right along with Diddy's plan, and you went out and found a woman to do this with yourself. So I'm having trouble here trying to figure out how this is a victim. And yeah, okay, y'all recorded a video of y'all doing it, so what? You're a bunch of grown adults. You knew what you were getting yourself into. You even hopped on a flight and flew from Atlanta to Miami knowing what you were getting into. You knew what you were getting into because you went and found a freaking woman escort, and then you filmed the video and you kept a copy yourself. And now all of a sudden it's a problem. Now all of a sudden you're a victim. And folks, like I said, I'm not here to defend Diddy. I think Diddy's guilty of doing probably a lot of horrible things, most likely. But we can't keep looking at these victims that are coming forward pretending like they're actual victims. Because I think that does a huge disservice to people who are actually victimized. Because what we're witnessing here, most of these people coming forward are grown-ass men and women who knew damn good and well what they were getting themselves into. And a lot of them, like I said earlier, are accomplices. They helped Diddy do these things. They went out and recruited more people to be brought to these parties themselves. But they don't want to get involved. They don't want to be wrapped up, in what's going down right now with Diddy's legal troubles. So now they're pretending to be victims when in reality they were helping Diddy all along. I don't know any other way to explain it. Even Cassie, for example. A lot of you might not like hearing this, but this is the reality. Did Diddy do Cassie wrong, treat her wrong? Put his hands on her and stuff? Yeah. Do I agree with that? Hell no. But if you look into things, Cassie was going out here and recruiting other women and men to be subjected to these Diddy parties. She was an accomplice for years. She was what they call the bottom, B-I-T-C-H, okay? She held things down, and she would go out there and do the dirty work. And then decided, hey, I'm going to turn on Diddy now. I'm going to be the victim. I'm going to go ahead and get ahead of all of this. I'm going to get what money I can and forget the other people who I victimized. Forget all of the women and men who I dragged in this situation. Let's put all the blame on Diddy. Look at me as a victim. And that's what's happening. It's a repeated process. You got more and more of these people coming forward claiming that Diddy did this and Diddy did that, when in reality, most of them are consensual adults that knew what they were getting themselves into and maybe even partook in some of these crimes, but they don't want to be, wrapped up in those crimes. So now they're pretending like they had no idea what was going on and they were all forced to do this and that. Does it sound like this woman and this man were forced to do anything? No. He flew all the way from Atlanta to Miami, then went out in search of a woman to have sex with in front of Diddy. And then they did it. And then he had no problem with that for years until he saw Diddy's going down, realized, hey, I might be wrapped in this. My name might come up in this. So now I'm a victim. I want my 15 minutes of fame. I want my clout as well. And if you ask me, this muddies up the waters in this case. Because for every real victim who had horrible things done to them at Diddy's parties, There's 15 other people coming forward who had the time of their lives at these Diddy parties, who partook in all of this madness, that now want to pretend they're a victim. And I get that a lot of you all are all wrapped up in the nonsense because believe all victims, oh my God. But I think people who literally take the time to logically think about things, I think you're looking at some of these people coming forward and you're looking at them sideways because their stories don't even sound like the story of a victim. Diddy didn't go find you in Atlanta and smuggle you to Miami and then force you to do something with some woman you never seen before and then forced you to put it on video. No, you willingly flew to another city, willingly went and found a woman to have sex with, willingly filmed yourself having sex in front of Diddy, and then years later, you're like, oh wait, oh my God, oh wait. So, I don't know, folks. I get that you're going to see a lot of different reactions online, but I can't sit here and pretend like this guy is a huge victim that we should all feel bad for, because it's just simply not the case. And to make myself very clear once again, because some people will simply not get it, I'm not saying Diddy's innocent. I'm not saying that Diddy never did anything wrong. I'm sure that Diddy has done something wrong to someone at one of these parties. That's not far-fetched for me to believe. All I'm saying is the examples that we're getting, the people who are coming forward right now, I think a lot of them are phony. I think a lot of them are opportunists. And I think a lot of them are guilty as well. And that's why they're now trying to pretend to be victims. And what I don't want to see, I don't want to see Diddy go down while everyone who helped Diddy do what he was doing, they walk away without a scratch. They walk away looking like heroes, because that's what's happening right now. A lot of people are looking at these victims like they're heroes. You're so courageous for speaking out. So courageous for what? They were living it up. They loved these Diddy parties. Not a single one of them were complaining about these Diddy parties until it became popular to do so. So I don't want people looking at some of these people like they're heroes. You're so courageous for speaking out, when in reality, they were down in the mud, down in the dirt, doing the dirty work for Diddy. They were out here finding the women and men, a lot of which, like I said, were consensual. Okay? That's just the facts. So, looking at this case, it's just a really odd case for me. Because what's obvious here is it looks like they're going to take Diddy down. All of Diddy's accomplices will now be his pretend victims. And the people who are more powerful than Diddy, that Diddy was probably supplying with women and men and Lord knows what, you're never even going to hear about them. Diddy is the scapegoat. Diddy's accomplices are the victims. And we really aren't going to get anywhere. They'll take Diddy down and then Diddy will be replaced with the next Diddy. Okay? It's going to be a revolving door unless we acknowledge the actual problem and nip the actual problem in the bud. Taking out Diddy does not nip the problem in the bud. Glorifying his victims, who are really his accomplices, who really had no problem doing this stuff all along, that's not going to nip the problem in the bud. It's going to empower them to go to the next celebrity and do the same thing. Because I can guarantee you some of these women who are all pretending to be victims of Diddy parties are at another party right now in Hollywood, in LA, another pool party doing Lord knows what, because that's how a lot of these people operate. So you all can cry and feel bad for some of these people. I refuse to give most of these people my sympathy, because most of these people knew exactly what they were doing. And that's not saying that Diddy is innocent. I don't care what happens to Diddy. I'm just saying that I'm not going to sit here and pretend like we should feel bad for these people who are speaking out. But you all are allowed to do and feel however you want to feel. Let me know how you feel down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all very soon in the next one.